still haunt me to this day, but you did. Yes, you did. You didn't have to say my name. Ignite my circuits, start a flame, but you did. Oh, turpentine erase me whole. Who don't want to live my life alone? Who was waiting for you all my life? Set me free, my honeybee. Smile at me. Your grin's the sweetest that I've ever seen, but you did. Yes, you did. You didn't have to offer your hand, 'cause since I've kissed it, I am at your command, but you did. Oh, a turpentine erase me whole. Who don't want to live my life alone? I was waiting for you all my life.
Hey guys, welcome in, welcome back to my channel, and today we're actually going to be playing something that's not Minecraft, surprisingly. What an outstanding thing. I was supposed to stream this yesterday, but I was feeling really sick and was asleep most of the day, so I had to move it to today, so thank you guys for your patience on that. Hope that you guys are doing well. And before we start the game for today, I want to bring up a super exciting thing. So, one of my good friends and one of the people on the writing team on Wild West SMP has recently released his novella. And it's an absolutely outstanding story called Twice Spent Comet by Ziggy Schultz. And in it, Ziggy gave me the wonderful opportunity to beta read it before it came out, and let me tell you, it's an incredibly outstanding story that's, first of all, set in space. Second of all, has mermaids. So those are two things that are great. And then on top of that, it's not only is Ziggy's just voice when it comes to writing absolutely outstanding, and it just draws you in such a gentle and just comforting way to tell an incredible story about connection, about belief, and about understanding and realizing that even in the vastness of space, when it seems like you're completely and utterly alone, when you're not even able to, when it feels like the world, the universe is telling you that you cannot connect with and you cannot reach out and form bonds with those around you, at the end of the day, there are connections that you can form, and you are never quite alone. Even in this outstanding great universe, there are people around you, and they care about you, and you can care about them in turn. If you guys would check it out and potentially even buy the novella, honestly, I'm very great at speaking, I promise, but just like the excitement that I get about this novella, and it's outstanding. It's an amazing read, and I would really encourage you guys to either buy it for yourselves or to request it at your public library, so that way you guys can get a copy, because it's an amazing novella. But anyways, I'm gonna stop gushing. I want to do like a full review thing later on, but let's get into what we're doing today. So I found this one free video game that got really good reviews. I think it's kind of like a dating sim type thing called Our Life, Beginning and Always, that I thought would be fun to play with you guys. And I'm jumping into this completely and utterly blind, same as you guys. So, whoop, let's turn that music down a little bit. Let's check it out together. All right. Welcome to Our Life, Beginning and Always. There are various ways you can customize an interactive game. Tutorial to overview of how certain features work. Okay. Start off, the game is divided into 4 time periods called steps. Step 1, childhood. Step 2, adolescence. Step 3, young adulthood. And Step 4, adulthood. Our life is further divided into sets of vignettes that take place during specific periods of time. These are called moments. Moments can be played in any order, or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Step 1 through 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now, and other DLCs will release later on. Step 4 is an epilogue and doesn't include moments. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationships with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered once set. Much of the MC's basic traits are determined... Let me turn down my thing. There we go. Let me know if I'm too quiet or too loud. Much of the MC's basic traits are determined on a character creation screen. As the MC grows up, more options become available on the screen. For a free game, this is like deep. There is a lot. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voice names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story. Once the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game, hundreds more can be added by getting a free voice name expansion DLC. Alright, names. Oh. We're gonna... Okay. Oh, wow. There is a lot of tutorial to this. We're gonna... Oh, okay. Alright. Alright. Oh, there is a lot going on here. Alright. How about, let's do... Let's do tan, just because it's easier for me to see. Sure, let's do that. We're gonna try and go based off of my character. Right. Sure, we'll do that. Alright. Oh, there's a lot of options. Alright, we'll do orange. We'll do orange. Alright. First name, let's do... That works. We're doing that. Alright, Alright. I think... Nope. Right. I think that looks good to go. Oh! Oh, cool! Oh, that's neat! Scarred up. I've been through battle. I've been through all the worst they've found. Oh, love me some freckles. Hand size. Should I have glasses? do these guys. That's cute. That's cute as hell. I'm keeping that. We're gonna have birth... We're all freckled up. I want to have bracelets, I want to have necklaces, I want to have watches. No. Hats? Alright. I'll wear anything. I'll put anything on my body. Alright. Think we should go with that? I think that's a good start. I think that's good. We're gonna go with that. Okay, cool. Alright. Oh, wow. Alright. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. Alright, didn't really get one. Alright, I think it's this one. You ended up saying hi to a lot of different people, since most of the tourists that came and went every summer were the same ones. I think that's us. Are we friendly? Would you say that we're friendly people? I mean, I say hi to a lot of people. I also annoy a lot of people, so you know. Pros and cons. Sorry, I'm still kind of dying. Don't mind me, I just have the plague. By that I mean a cold. You enjoyed learning all about where they were visiting from, and hoped to visit those places one day too. But today, there was a man sitting on the curb outside your— Never a good thing. If you see a man sitting outside the curb to your house, you run. You lock that door, and you call the police. Because that's never trustworthy. I'm kidding. Probably don't do that. They're probably fine. Alright, let's see if it's a villain. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person. That's a ghost. You've just come across a ghost. What do you do? And you wondered if he was even a real person, or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. That's a ghost. You just pretend you don't see it. You just move on. You just move straight past. And if you have to walk through him, it's okay. He's invisible. He's like non-corporeal anyways. You're fine. Move. Whatever, whoever, or whatever he was, you had never seen him again. Seen him before. Who are you gonna call? One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your moms called it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Good! It should! That's correct. Our MC is correct. Your mom's had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite then. This right here. We're choosing this option because it's correct. You weren't sure about this man yet. Yeah! Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your door. Exactly! That's freaky. That is a ghost wanting you to talk to them so that way they can mess with you. No, I don't want to talk to you. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. That's when you take out the crowbar. Emergency crowbar should always be in your backpack at school. Just pretend that it doesn't. What you do is you make like a little pocket in the seams and everything like that, and then you just put your emergency crowbar there. And if you always have an emergency crowbar, then you'll never ever be caught off guard. Even if you just have to swing your backpack, you'll know that a giant block of freaking steel is in that backpack. And if you can pull it out and wield it, then you got intimidation factor. Never forget your emergency crowbar. There was a split second where your eyes met and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Never take your eye off the enemy. Look down at the ground, but always peek up at them, out of the corner of your eye. Hey, don't talk to me. His voice startled you and made you jump, but you still didn't look at him. Good. The bird landed on top of a nearby gate post. Yeah, don't interact with the ghost. You pretend you don't see the ghost. The bird landed on top of a nearby gate post, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. This music is too calm for a ghost encounter. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way towards you. Why are you walking towards me? Emergency crowbar time. Yeah. You pretend that you got gutso. You pretend that you will attack. You pretend, even if you don't have your emergency crowbar, that you have an emergency crowbar. We're gonna save here, because I accidentally did that. Not wanting to seem too approachable, you folded your arms and stared. Good. So. Also, I'm walking into this completely and utterly blind, and I'm just doing whatever reactions I feel like. I've got no tutorial. We're playing this together. So. Do you live around here? What's your name? Don't talk to me! Cool tattoo, though, but don't talk to me! You looked the man up and down, taking in his tanned skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. Yeah, because he's creepy. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. Probably. Looks like a surfer. Your streams are great. I'm almost 100% sure this is not a ghost encounter. I'm close, but you've always got to give that 0.5% of potential ghost. You never know when someone is actually a ghost. You see, you say nothing. You don't say that you live here. You don't give them any information. If you do, he rubbed the back of his neck uncomfortably, giving you a small smile. Why are you handing... Red flag number 3. This man may not be a ghost. If he's handing you physical cash, but he is still not someone that you want to talk to. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean 20. All of this is giving red flag for such a calming game with such a calming atmosphere. This is not a good start. I'm kidding, I'm loving this so far. It'd be great if this game is just about ghosts and just looks like a... Exactly, let's pull another Doki Doki Literature Club, but instead it's ghosts. I wanna... Next, you know what, I'm gonna find a dating sim about ghosts. We're gonna play that next time. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Why? Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Well, could you do me a favor? This dude seems like you're trying to... This dude seems like he's trying to get you into the back of a van. Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have... Let me start. I think you've already gone too far, my good sir. I think you need to leave. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. Yeah. I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age. Yep, obsessed with the ocean. I think it's pretty cool. I'd say it's a cool name. You thought that was pretty cool. You never met anyone with that name. We moved in across the street, see? He gestured towards the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Mish Murr, right? I met your moms earlier, and they told me you were 8, just like him, so. He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips. Is he trying to bribe me? That's Fred. That little faith in your child's social abilities that you're just like, hey, random kid across the street, I'm gonna be the creepiest freaking person you've ever met. Please be friends with my son. I will literally pay you. House empty for a year. Seems like ghosts. Yeah, this is ghosts. They're ghosts. They're ghosts, and they're bribing this dude. This dad is bribing you to be friends with his ghost son. That dollar bill, that $20 bill is gonna disappear from your hand because it's a ghost bill. And you're gonna wake up one day, they're gonna be gone, the for sale sign's still gonna be there, and you're gonna realize it was ghosts the entire time. I'm gonna disbelief in my brain for the entire game. Exactly, we're gonna be so disillusioned. We're gonna be so lost in the sauce about them being ghosts. I'm spending this entire game pretending that they're ghosts, because I'm pretty sure that they are. This is ridiculous. This is not normal behavior. You are a ghost, sir. Can you try to... I'm sorry. This ghost dad wants this ghost son who died too soon to have friendship before they pass on. Both of them died in this house, which is why it remains unoccupied, because no one wants to live with two ghosts, but this ghost wants his son to pass on, and the only way for his ghost son to pass on is if he has a friend for the first time, but the problem is, his ghost son is not good at ghost friendships. And that's why he's bribing you with ghost bills. It was ghosts the whole time. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Oh my gosh, ye have so little faith in your son's abilities. Just give it a chance, and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him. Wow. That's the most you can say about your son.
Do you mind?
But you've got to keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. Wow. You could have just set up a playdate. You've talked to my mothers. You kind of... Did other kids really get their parents to pay for friendships? Damn! Had your mom's done that for you and Lizzie? The thought made you frown. What do you say? Want to make a deal? Do we scam this man? Do we take this man's money and then just never talk to his son? Like, what's he gonna do? Was he gonna go to my mother's and say, hey, I paid your child to be friends with mine and now he's not being friends? Is this gonna be a conversation that he's gonna want to have with them? I'm taking the money. I'm scamming this old man. I'm scamming this ghost. You carefully plucked the bill from his outstretched hand, grinning at the thoughts of what you would do with that much cash. I'm gonna get ice cream. Should we be, I'm leaving this up to you, Cheese. Are we being responsible and buying a library card, or are we getting ice cream? Like a ridiculous amount of ice cream? Are we coming home with 70 pints of ice cream? Stuffed animal. Ooh, we're doing stuff. Ooh, what kind of stuffed animal though? I've got like a red panda that's like mint colors. I just named it Minty. Ooh, stuffed animal. It was gonna be able to come home with you. Yeah! This is responsible use of our money. And that was just a start, you thought. The sky was the limit with that kind of amount. Exactly. The man smiled at you, his eyes crinkling at the sides as he did. I'm not being friends with your child, I'm scamming you! Don't smile! You've been had! Actually, maybe I've been had. I mean, it is a ghost bill. Great! That's great. We're never gonna get through this. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. He's disappeared. He's gone back into the ether. He does not have the ghost energy. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. Damn, now I kind of feel bad about scamming this man. If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? Damn. Maybe this is because you don't believe in your child's ability to make friends. Before the ghost bill disappears, you win. Exactly. We gotta run. We gotta dash. We gotta get to that store right away so that way when the ghost bill disappears, I already have the stuffed animal. He's got a pink casting glasses. You can't miss it. Okay. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You'd think. You knew that, but you were still going to help. No, I won't. I'm scamming this man. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head. Don't touch me. Paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead. Yeah, that's right. Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Sure. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought he might come back and that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Mish. So much. He jogged off down the street without another word. He decided to check the hills behind your house. Why am I helping? Okay, I guess I'm helping. Step 1. First sight. This is our first time seeing a ghost. The atmosphere is perfect. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. You loved to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagined living far beneath the waves. Sometimes you could almost convince yourself you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. Just like the mermaids in Ziggy's book, Twice Spent comic, which y'all should buy. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. Ghost! 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 What if he isn't a ghost? What if they're mermaids? That's why they're obsessed with the ocean. They've been mermaids this... No, wait. Ghost mermaids. Best of both worlds. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden with the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. Ghost mermaid! Sorry. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. The deer didn't have... Wow, okay. I guess we'll do I mean, they kind of have wavy eyebrows. We're dyeing a deer's hair, and we're giving them groom hair. Yeah, let's go with that. But this new boy did. You wondered what could have upset him. After a few... Probably being a ghost mermaid. That would be a little isolating. After a few more seconds, he took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. He stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. We're doing this one. Hey, Space Cadet. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into his fists at his sides. What, are you gonna fight me? Are we getting into a fight? Let's go, put him up. Put him up, I'll fight you. I'll fight I fight 100 children. Don't test me, I'll fight you. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. Oh, we're not fighting. Okay, never mind. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You'd obviously caught him off guard, you think. I think the ghost mermaid is scared. Yeah, maybe the ghost mermaid is a little frightened. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. It's nothing to be afraid of, we all break arms. Actually, I've never broken a bone. Knock on wood. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. Cove? Ah. Eyes wide, he studied you. How'd you know that? You touched the money in your pocket, feeling it crinkle beneath your fingertips. I'm saying I'm all-knowing. Absolutely. This is the kind of shit that I would say as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. Probably not my proudest moment, but I did once try to and half successfully convince my friend that I was a figment of her imagination. So, this is some shit that I would pull as a kid. That's a lie. Tell the truth. Okay. Your dad told me who you were. Oh. How did I get the voice right? So, is this your hill? Why would I claim a hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. You can't own a hill. Why not? How could you? You just do. I had a hill back home. Well, this still isn't mine. Ow. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, he sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way the freaking writing in this game. This is outstanding. Freaking out. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they'd never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. I'm sorry! I'm sorry, I take back the basic question that I asked you. Please stop crying. My parents... I was about to say, did they get divorced? But man, ouch, for a kid that young. I was a lot older when my parents got divorced, and even then I felt like that, so. They don't want to live together with me anymore. That is incorrect. Their problems are not a reflection of who you are as a person. But you are a child and don't understand this. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. All of these kind of suck. I'm sorry, doesn't fix the issue. Your dad seems kind of nice, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you miss your mom. You'll like it here, you just have to get used to it. How do you know? And stop crying. Wow. I'm gonna go with your dad seems kind of nice. He's a little weird. He's a very weird ghost mermaid, but he's a pretty nice ghost mermaid. He gave me 20 bucks and I was gonna scam him. He slipped his hands... Oh, jeez. Sorry. I'm still a little stuffed up. And all the reading is... He slipped his hand underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. Must be hard for Cove, living here without his mom, but at least he still had a parent who cared about him. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Mish!
Cove?
Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Let's run! Let's run! Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to that house. Well, how do you... I think you can handle it, is the best way to say it, because it's like... You can handle it, and even if you can't, he's your dad, right? Yeah, he is. Dusting the grass off your pants, you stood up. So you didn't come here by yourself or with a stranger. He's got to take care of you no matter what. Wow. I mean, this is the kind of... Yeah, he does... Ow. I'm just gonna pretend that doesn't hurt me. Damn. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm.
Sorry.
I still don't want to go. We're just gonna wait silently. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could answer, you heard Cove's dad, even closer than before. There you are, bud! The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you and they rushed over. Dang! My moms are pretty! Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Mish, you're here after all. We'd been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. No, we were just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Are you two having fun out here? You look over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. Dang, that's quick! That's freaking quick! Geez, should we go quick? Should we make a decision that's way too quick in life? Or do we just shrug? Slow burn. We're gonna go slow burn. He's new here. It was okay. Funnily enough, when I was like in freaking preschool, someone left like a little charm in my cubby one day, and I thought that it was a ring, and I stuck it on my finger, and it was too small for my tiny baby fingers even then, and then it got stuck, and my preschool teacher was like freaking out trying to get it off of me, and my finger was slowly turning purple, and I ended up having to get taken to like a jeweler's, and I had to get it cut off. And I had it for a really long time. But yeah, there was someone who left it in my cubby, and I think I got it. And there was like, I saw a message years later from my preschool teacher about going to marry this one boy in class, and I forget his name. But it was like, wow, that is real quick. That is quite the assumption, especially because I'm attracted to girls. So, he's new here. It was okay. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief.
Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Mish knows this whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
Wow, you could sound more excited. I say, kidding. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? It sounds like words. Slow burn. We're going slow burn. Both of your moms laughed. The sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. That means I don't want to play with him. Don't make me do this! I wanted to scam the man. I'm not going to do what I got paid 20 bucks for. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for the step. It can change in later. Comfort. Relaxed, I guess? I think indifferent is good. We're going slow burn. We're going real slow burn. That's relaxed indifference. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, there's a lot of different achievements, aren't there? Early the next morning, you were poking at your food, eating it slowly. Damn, I gotta play with this dude again. Damn. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Why? Excited to see your new friend again, Mish? Maybe we could become friends.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? I don't know. Am I? I'm being the little I'm gonna be the little shit that I never was as a kid, because I was the easy child that my parents got to forget even existed. I'm not gonna be that this time. I'm gonna be the little shit. Lizzie, that reminds me of someone I need to force to see your streams. Hey, yo? New friend? New person? Yeah, we're gonna be a little bit of a little shit. Because the reason why I'm like this as an adult is because I never got to be like this as a kid. Calls older sibling. Oh, yo! You gestured down to the empty dish in front of you, raising your eyebrows dramatically.
Okay.
Okay, we see. Good job. You should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then, on cue, there was a knock. Big sip. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Mish, could you get it? Because Mom said so, you wandered over to the door. It's the Ghost Mermaids! Hey, Mer family! Thanks for having us. I didn't make this decision. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room. And when he wasn't crying. Damn! With his dad standing in front of him, and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. You studied Cove apathetically. This was the parents' plan, not yours. Exactly, I was going to scam this man, and you guys are actually making me work for the 20 bucks. This is bullshit. Not seeming any more excited than you were, he just stared back. Let's do crystal. I like it. You twisted the crystal bead bracelet on your wrist. I actually had a couple of those as a kid. Do you want to go play in your room, Mish? No. Sure. Come on, it's upstairs. Okay. Damn, I called that.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. You let it— that is a creepy doll. That is a creepy little clown doll. Funny thing is, I'm not scared of clowns. I actually like clowns a lot, but that thing is terrifying, and I don't want it anywhere near me. I'm gonna check it out the window. You can have it. It's yours. I don't know why, but that gives me distinctly like you know that one like jester from Deltarune? That character? Yeah, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it. I'm digitally chucking it towards you. All yours. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals. Hell yeah. A cool bed. Hell yeah. And a window to look at. What every room needs. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. I don't. Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta do it. I gotta see what happens. I'm also, it tracks. I'm really insecure of my drawing, so I don't. I drew it, but it's not very good. I think it is. You smiled slightly at him. Even if it wasn't work you were pleased with, it was polite of him to say. He turned to look around the room a bit more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. Hi! Welcome in! I've heard of you. I've heard tales of Darth Liz the Wise. That's such a nerdy reference. I'm gonna go back to this game. Welcome in. Studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You felt the atmosphere was kind of awkward. You were glad for the company. You hope you liked your room. You know what? I hope he likes my room, because my room is the best. You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. Thank you for following. Welcome to the worship of Yog-Sothoth. I forget sometimes that I have that as my thing. Alright. You hoped you didn't say anything bad at it. But seriously, welcome in. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. I actually used to have like a giant bag of just collected shells. Yeah, there's ghost mermaids and we were paid to become friends with Cove, and I was gonna scam the dad, but this game is railroading me into actually doing what I was paid for, which I think is bullshit because I think that I should be allowed to scam this guy's dad. But you know, sometimes the game makes you do things. I'm kidding, this is fun. Ah, darn, exactly! I should be allowed to scam a ghost mermaid if I so please. He took a step towards it, before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Actually, I don't think I ever collected driftwood when I collected shells. Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I think so. Yeah, see? He gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered in specks of sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets all over. This is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Oh, right. I almost forgot. Shiloh's gonna be here today. Shiloh? Lindsay's friend. Or more like, her #1 fan, I guess? Simp! We got a simp. Do I have to see him? Yeah. Do I have to see you? It should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but you know. Come on, let's check out my shell some more. Valid. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that had washed ashore, and he pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. The collection was, I think I'm gonna go with this one. The collection was so huge and varied that you had lots of funny stories to tell for all of them. Apparently fascinated, either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. My favorite color? Oh, probably like, kind of, the tie between kind of like an electric sharp purple, or just scarlet. Just a bright red. What's your favorite color? Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, you found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus, even if it was only directed at shells. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Crimson or coral? Ooh, coral is pretty. I applaud your taste. We are shaking hands. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. Yeah, you should have asked. You should have asked. I didn't say you could do that. What if you're stealing my shells? I once had a person that stole, like, a ton of pencil buddies. Like, all of my freaking pencil buddies in elementary school. That was a dark day. Sorry. Yeah, you should be. Fine. What's done is done. You open the lid, peering inside again. Also, I apologize, Liz. I am being the little jerk. The little silly kid that I was never allowed to be as a kid. So, I'm being a bit more abrasive than I would be generally. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Ooh. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I like this one. I think this one is the best of them. I've got so many shells. You could take it. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure. You like it a lot, right? Uh-huh. But I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You get the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. I'm gonna insist. I've given you a gift. You will take it. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give him to him another time. I'm gonna chuck it through his window. He's just gonna hear this clattering sound in the middle of the night. Break his window. If he takes the gift, he owes you. Exactly. That's why he needs to take the gift. I will come for your best stuffed animal later. Now take the shell. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. Fair. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. It's another ghost. Another ghost! What type of ghost is Shiloh? Let's see. You'll be alright. He's here. You can't tell him to leave. Damn! It's like, it's too late. He's already here. It's like, he's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find. I mean, true. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked on the back of the house. I can go out the window. You know what? You try it. You try it, Cove. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say. No, let it happen. He stepped forward, then paused. Good deal. Let's go. We're leaving. We're getting out of here. Hurry. They'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of you made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to clamber out, but by the time you landed gently in the bushes, you looked up to see that Cove was already taking off away from the house. He was not... I'm not a distance person, but I'm a sprinter. I could catch up to him. He was not that fast, but you knew you could outrun him if you had to. Cove! You ran so fast as your legs would take you, grass whipping around your ankles as you did so. Cautiously, Cove slowed to a halt and looked back at you. Where are you going? I don't know. Somewhere else. I just don't want to see. Mish! Damn it! You looked back and saw Shiloh hopping down the hill after you, the backpack he clutched bouncing all around along the way. Where are you going? Can I come? He must have seen you leaping out the window and followed behind. Damn.
Hi.
Oh, hi! Are you Cove? Oh my gosh! Shiloh's so tiny! I'm gonna pinch his cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Shiloh. Okay. Damn. Yep. Are we going back? Or are we gonna play outside? We're gonna play hide and go seek. Shiloh, you sit there and you count to 100. This is a frog ghost. I'm naming it now. I just purely because of like the little bucket hat thingy. This is a frog ghost. We've got mermaid ghost, we got frog ghost. Shiloh's eyes moved between you and Cove. The smile remained strong on his face. It got a tiny frown from Cove in response. You were just grateful he hadn't asked why you had been running away. Not now. Let him ask. Inside, we left the box on the floor. Right, my shells and stuff. We have to make sure they're okay.
Okay.
Okay. We can help Eddie. With Shiloh trailing behind, you and Cove headed back towards the house. Damn. Foiled again. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach things some more. Good plan. Solid. Grade A. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color. Kind of like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Yeah, man. Show a little less interest, will you?
Oh?
Is this your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
I guess. There are better colors, like pink and purple and red. Choose better colors, says you. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Same Shiloh. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know. Aww. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach. Probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looks towards you. There's a park? Yeah, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Mish? The park is fun. Raid? Hello! Welcome! Welcome in! Hi, Guts! Hello, Fang! Welcome in! Welcome in! We are playing a game called Our Life Beginning and Always. It's a fun little dating sim type thingy, or like visual storytelling book thingy. Welcome in. Hello. I need to make like a little shout out thingy. How do I like a shout out thing? You guys, people in my chat, you guys should follow Fang. Fang is incredible and Fang is really cool. And anyways, welcome in. We are goofing off with our current our frog ghost creature and our ghost mermaid, who we have decided are ghosts, even though they're probably not ghosts. We also No, is that what she sounds everyone? No. I refuse. I refuse. We're not doing that. I want to look at my shells. We are looking at my shells. We are looking at my beach things, and that is what we are doing. There is no park, and we are not going to it. No. Oh. Yeah. Go sit in the corner. I still want to go see. That seems like a you problem, Cove. You do? Yeah. Like a puppy wanting a ping pong match. Watching a ping pong match. Shiloh looked back and forth between you and Cove. Oh, poor Shiloh. So, are we going to find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see. Dang, okay. Never really wanted to see her. I just wanted to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting... No park! Not allowed! I refuse. We look at shells. It is shell time. We are looking at shells, but I have been overwritten. Democracy has foiled me again. Time to turn to dictatorship. Cove, go get your dad to buy you someone to go... Dad to bribe someone else to be friends with you to go to the park. I wasn't supposed to have to work for this 20 bucks. But now I'm stuck with you. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short, she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. You know what? Good on Lizzie. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie! Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Mish! Shiloh! Hi! She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. I feel bad giving him the simp title that I gave immediately upon hearing that Lizzie was his favorite now. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You weren't sure if this was an improvement. Go off. Hey, yo! Who's that? It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
I remember. Hi, Cove! There's so many... I cannot do so many high-pitched voices. Welcome to my park. No one ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Cove whispered in your ear, quiet enough that the others wouldn't overhear. I thought kids couldn't own places like parks. Or hills. You couldn't help but laugh a tiny bit. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes in the warm sand. Ew. No, I hate that. Thank you. No, never do that again. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Lizzie's the oldest. By a lot. My mom says you're Mish's age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. What about the other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh is just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. We will find the mummy. This is the land of the ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try and steal your youth. I will suck the life from you, kid. Oh!
Oh.
It wasn't ghosts that we needed to be worried about. It was mummies. Oh. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. Damn, kid. But something in his eyes shifted, and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms, dads, or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Yeah, they're really bad. You went along with her, wriggling your fingers menacingly at Cove. Dang, we are just bullying this kid. He sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. Shiloh's just me, for real, for real. I met Lizzie in mission school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I think the reason there's not many kids here is because you and your family are the only people here. Everyone else are ghosts. This is a ghost town. We're the only humans that exist in this area. Everyone else is ghost. That's the truth of this game. We're uncovering the reality. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Well, that's not a choice you have. Shiloh looked down in the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely you didn't really know. But she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. I last must have got to get to Snackies and D-Stream, but bye! Hope your stream went well! Thank you for stopping in! Go take care of yourself, go get some water, go take a breather. I will see you around. Pie is right. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. The first summer, you hadn't really been interested in him one way or the other. He was just kind of a fact of life. Someone you met with because he was there. Of course, that was only the start of things. Aww. Alright, moment select, step 1. Let's do shopping. Okay, let me take a drink. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. I would also be interested by a snail. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention, as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. Man, this guy's just handing out money. I wonder if I can scam him, like make it like a subscription service for being friends with Cove. I say we turn this into a subscription service. It reminded you of when you'd first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise, because a second later, his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've gotta learn how to be more sneaky. You brushed your hands together to breathe him up sand, then jogged over to join the two.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up today, Mish? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's lots of snails around here. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove is about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You shrugged. Cove was in the process of making a similar motion. You didn't have anything else to do, and you looked like you hadn't been to the stores in a few days. Maybe there was something new to look at. Probably not. Maybe. Is that okay?
I guess.
I was going by myself, but I guess it is. You don't have to. Okay, I won't! Great! I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Don't streamline me into this! Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. He found it odd, since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Here. Oh, you're paying me to be your friend! Again. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Oh! Okay. Sure. Dang, roping Cove into it. That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand still held out towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, the birds are chirping. This seems like the perfect day. Dang it! It's the perfect day. On days like this, kids like you should be burning in hell. Cove, make sure not to touch the water. Exactly! You'll turn into a mermaid. Clear! Arnar! The condensation! Do ghosts turn to ghost mermaids when they touch the ghost water? Touch the water, or is it ghost water? Do they have to touch ghost water? Arnar! Ghost Clear! The ghost condensation! It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Shells? Are you looking for shells? I think I know. I think we claim that logic if Cove touches the water. Cove startled a little at the sound of your voice and mumbled a sort of. If you see any, you can let me know. You can manage that. What if I want to keep the shells? What if they're my shells if I find them? You dropped your view to the sand, walking carefully so you didn't step on any. You were good at finding shells. You had a lot of them at home, and always found new ones whenever you visited the beach. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with a pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times, and although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. You didn't either. I don't want to talk to you. Sorry, that's so mean. You seemed altogether too invested in the floor. He seemed altogether too invested in the floor to pay attention. Yeah, this is shell time. We are focusing on shell. We will find shell. We will grab shell. It is time for shell. You decided to watch the waves as they inched closer and closer to your feet instead. Oh! Abruptly, Cove stopped, then moved briskly ahead a few steps. What is it? Without a word, he bent down, picking up something half buried in the sand. You hurried near, curiously glancing over his shoulder. It was a shell, lightly pink at the bottom and bleached white at the top. Wow, so you found what you were looking for? Cove got back up, turning his find over in his hands before unbuttoning one of the many pockets on his pants and slipping it inside. Cargo pants! Let's go! Got pocket on top of pocket on top of pocket on top of pocket. I pick up anything that's kind of cool. This is what I got this time. What about you? What do you do out here? I like looking at fish. Like fish. Mish fish. They don't like me, so they always swim away if I get close. But they're pretty before that. Cool. Starfish are fun. They aren't going anywhere, even if you touch them. A small laugh escaped you. That's true. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It was nice. I like food smells. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. Okay, but what is your guys' favorite, outdoor shop food? Because personally, I'm a good fan of, a salted pretzel. A good salted pretzel, good shit. Especially with, cheese. That really gooey, artificial cheese. Good shit. There were so many things to do. You didn't even know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Mini donuts. Ooh, mini donuts are a good one too. Do you like it when it's got the cinnamon sugar? Personally, I like that. Or do you like chocolate or something else on it? Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look at his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. Yes. Yes! Those are the best type of mini donuts. They're so good. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander! Is this gonna be like a circus show? And we're gonna block you, go away. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. Fine, okay, sure. I'm done. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Sometimes you gotta repeat that. Cove hummed with understanding, and turned to walk away just as the amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. I didn't bark at the bot put on. I think you did an amazing job. I appreciate you, Cheese. Thank you. Maybe we could stay and watch? Cove glanced back at the man. He then briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You grinned, waiting for him to follow you as you raced back to stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled 1 card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Whoa! Cove is not having it. The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Cove hates whimsy. Cove does not like whimsy. Tell me. This had to be going somewhere and you needed to find out. I need to know. Tell me your tricks, Magic Man. Tell me your secrets. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer. It was great. You felt a tongue, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. The only time that you should allow a ghost close to you is when they are a magic man. That is called a poltergeist, and they are fun. What? You knew that it couldn't really have come from behind your ear, but you still didn't know how he'd done it. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. What? How? This is like that Arthur episode where it's like, how do you get square balloons? Blow square breaths. Apparently we are blowing dolphin-shaped breaths because we have dolphin-shaped balloons. I will not be questioning, and I will not be answering further questions. And one for your friend, too. Thank you for being my assistant. I did nothing, but I will take this no matter what. Wow. Now you were really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with cards. You hate whimsy. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. Okay, Cove. At least I had a fun time. At least I had a good time. At least I see the joy and whimsy in the world. You saw the magic trick, and you got a great balloon. That was more than enough to make it a worthwhile event. You thought that if you could find a card to practice with, maybe you could make it disappear too. I can. I will learn the magic. I will find your secrets, Magic Man. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side, there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. I need to. Ooh, do you know card tricks? That's cool. You can play with this kaleidoscope I got you at the airport. Kaleidoscope, I'm not fine. Shapes and colors. Oh, these are cool. You shifted your balloon string to your other hand so you could bring the mysterious tunnel to your eye. A whole palette of colors appeared right in front of you, spinning into all kinds of different shapes as you twisted the end of the tube. Cove picked one up and looked through, twisting the metal tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Did you have places like this in your old town? Cove blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You know how much you missed that place. Guess what? It was a part of your past, and I'm gonna ask. Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the stalls nearby. Those are so cute! I want the shark one. I want that guy. He's so derpy. While Cove looked at the sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade," standing proudly in front. Sharks! There were lots of different types. I saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. I want the shark! Your hand stopped on the shark, a devious smirk filled with sharp teeth on its face. It's so derpy! That's not devious, that's puppy! You weren't supposed to go near sharks in real life, but there was something about this shark you liked. And the fabric on its back was soft when you picked it up. Mish, what's your favorite type of shark? Lemon shark! I love lemon sharks. What's your favorite type? Shark. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that it was a lot to spend on one thing. You got $20 from scamming that one dude. From scamming Cove's dad. Time to use it. Ooh, frilled shark. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Did you already spend that $20? Though that changed the day you met Cove and his dad. You still had the $20 bill Mr. Holden gave you hidden away in your room. Oh, so you didn't bring it. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was at home instead of in your pocket. That is true. Maybe you'd have to ask your moms to bring you here again one day, now that you knew what you wanted. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. Oh. What? Oh.
Alright.
Whoops. Really? Really? Are you gonna buy this for me? Heck yeah. Yes, let's go, keychain. Philip took the small keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. My dad told me to. You know what? I'm thinking your dad when we get home. He smiled, pleased to have things work out. Maybe Cove isn't as bad. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. You had to remember to thank him next time you saw him. Yeah, I'm thinking your dad, Cove. Free money. Free money. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. The funny thing is that, like, in real life, I feel terrible whenever someone buys anything from me. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove? Yeah? I want to know. Your dad gives up money a lot, huh? From what you've seen, this happens a lot with Mr. Holden. You've never met anyone else who shares dollar bills with people all the time. Cove's brow furrowed in confusion.
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe? For a second, you thought about mentioning the way you and his father had met, but decided against it, probably for the best. That was meant to be a secret, and you felt like your feelings might have been hurt if your parents were offering to pay people to be your friend. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did yours, let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food. Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Correct! Correct! Cove got something sweet and cinnamony. Correct! Got one with cheese. Yeah. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed a pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. Correct! It was covered in gooey, melted cheese, just the way you liked it. Salty, gooey, let's go. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. Nuh-uh! Dessert before meals. Nom nom. Exactly. It's nom nom time. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit down. Ow. These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Tie to the chair. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his balled-up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. That's also smart. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Oh. Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled, satisfied. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and the string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzel. Rituals! Tie the bow. Eat the dough. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. I'm gonna run around in circles around him. This is something that I would actually do with my friends, is I will just run around. We didn't hydrate? Alright. Big sip. You take a big sip too. Drink water. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it was jumping through the air. You turned to face towards the beach. It almost looked like it was swimming in the waves, like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper and was gripping his dolphin too. Mine's name is Cherry. She's actually an alien. Yes! Alien dolphin! There's a magical dolphin flying through the sky, shoot it down. When no one is looking, she transforms back to her true alien self. She has purple skin and 10 eyes. Yes! That's an eldritch horror right there, and I appreciate that. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real-life alien. Same. What's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Damn, alien ghosts. Out. Oh no! For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks popped up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. You can have my balloon instead, if you want it. Cove looked over at you, frowning. I don't want yours. Oh. Well, damn, alright. You know, I tried to do the nice thing for once. You felt bad for Cove, but you were secretly glad. You really liked the little dolphin and weren't too eager to give it up. Cove spent the rest of the outing sniffling and didn't say much else. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been nice for the most part. Hopefully there wouldn't be any tears next time. Alright. You know what? Let's keep with the beach theme. Let's go Sandcastle next. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When him and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to the shore, glittering in blue. Another reminder of the places he couldn't go. Dang, okay! Wanted to be in the water, like a mermaid? Yes, because he's a ghost mermaid! He wanted to be where the ghost mermaids are. He wanted to swim in the water! From what you'd heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell he'd do anything to be able to get that cast off. Like, make a pact with a witch or something, just to get it off his arm. I've got a bandsaw, or a chainsaw, and determination. We can get this cast off for you. We got you, Cove. It might take your whole arm too, but it's worth it to have the cast off. Hey, Ghost, where? It turns out that we were ghosts all along, too. Woo! You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there, on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and you finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently soon wasn't good enough. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There can be anything out there. Like mermaids. Like you! Are you revealing that you, in fact, are a ghost mermaid? Tell us, sir. I'm not a big swimmer. I'm fine here on land. Alright. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation. Turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too. There's nothing else to do.
okay.
Okay. He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. Which is pile, 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 pile. Does it look like a mound? That's perfect. That's what we call a castle right there, is a big pile. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real castle.
Cool.
Cool, this is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make... I'm gonna make a mansion. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to design a mansion. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seems you'd got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a... Ooh, sea glass. Green piece of sea glass. It was the best fit for your mansion, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly, so you put it in a funny place, where it'd take a second look to see it. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. I want to see what Shiloh's doing. Shiloh was definitely the best one out of all three of you at building sandcastles. His was also the smallest, but there were so many glittering debris and carved sand shapes all over the entire building that his effort was obvious. Shiloh's little house even had a tiny garden by the front door and another one in back, all made out of pebbles and other bits and bobs. The silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart. You should be an architect. You'd be good at it, Shiloh. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Mish, can I see what you did? Sure. You began surveying your work. You'd better not say shit, Cove. All you really knew about mansions was that they were supposed to be big, and so you'd gone really big. It was the size of the country club Lizzie played golf at, compared to Cove's and Shiloh's buildings. Probably even bigger. Shiloh quickly decided to jump into the new conversation. Hey Mish, what did you do? This is my mansion. It looks great. Your house is so big. As mansions just are really big houses. They got, yeah, kinda. Huh? Is being a house bad?
No.
No, but we each made our own place. Nobody's the same. I think we are. Cove raised an eyebrow at that. If something is the only one of that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, there's sandcastles and stuff. People too. But Dad always says how everybody is their own man. A real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Why?
Why not? Exactly. You are a ghost frog. You are very special, my good sir. Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. Yeah, you are. You're a ghost frog. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off. Again, there was then another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your mom's met my dad, Mish? You waited to see, did your dad try and pay my parents for us to be friends too? You waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Yeah! Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued. Oh, well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Mish's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset about not being included in Cove's choice of topic. This was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. Yeah, I think that Shiloh should be allowed to talk. Huh? We were just talking. We were talking, just not right now. I'm talking to you. You can listen. Shiloh's expression barely flickered at the words. He still looked put off. Cove continued like the interruption hadn't happened. He was determined to tell the tale. Shush. We need to get one of those we need to get a stick from the beach and hand it off to people when it's their turn to talk. That's what needs to happen here. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown when he recalled that. Then I saw your mom's. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and I left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there. The ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded and stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Aren't you gonna finish your story? You were so determined to tell it! To the point of interrupting Shiloh. To the point of interrupting baby boy over there. Cove's brow wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? I don't get what the point was. That's how our parents met. I didn't make the story up. That's not really my point. Cove is just not understanding the issue here. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, kid. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well...
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. Made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Your name is Cove. I wonder why. Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh, fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand, had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah? Why are you always turning so red? Even when nothing is happening. Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. Wow. Okay. way to address the topic there, Cove. Oh, hi. Hi, Billy. Welcome in. We are playing Our Life, Beginning and Always, and currently we are being shitty little children, and it's great. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of... Wow. It's kind of weird. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment, and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. You're gonna make the kid cry! Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad. He seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. He's gonna do all. Oh, Shiloh's standing up to himself. Why do you wear glasses? Most of the kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove. Let's go! I love this game. I'm stepping into it for the first time. I saw that like a lot of people had good, really, really good things to say about this, so.
Who asked you to come?
That's you come. It's probably just your dad bugging Mrs. Fair. Your dad did pay me to be friends with you. So, Marcus, you don't think this will ever play with you. Get it, Shiloh! Stand up for yourself. Cove blinked. Let's go, Shiloh! This game is so funny. Also, by the way, Ghost Mermaid, Ghost Frog, we've determined. We're possibly Ghost Fae. We don't know. Everyone in this town is ghosts. Everyone in this town is ghosts. And that's the truth of it all. Doesn't matter that that's not actually true. No, we have determined that they are ghosts. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. Shiloh, I'm sorry, don't apologize. You were correct. You're right. Me too. I was just wondering. I'm gonna go and plan my own. Bye. You shrugged, not in the mood to work out their problem, and started building another mansion next to your first one. Yeah, this is the you two issue. I'm not mediating. I'm pulling a not me in real life, and I'm not mediating this. Both of your playmates noticed immediately and turned away from each other. What are you doing? I'm gonna finish my next one before both of you. Shiloh glanced at you, then at Cove, who'd already started digging up more sand. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. Because you're a jerk! Cove! No wonder your dad has to pay people to play with you. The air stayed uncomfortable for the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. Did you get the... No, I haven't gotten the expansions yet. I think after this one I might buy the expansions, but I wanted to try the free version and just step into it beforehand. Do you recommend them? Because you said you like that one. Are the expansions good? Cove and Shiloh had mostly followed your lead and barely said a word. His mom standing behind him. Even Shiloh's goodbye had been quiet. Friendly, cheerful, but noticeably quiet. Yes, I like him. Ooh. Yeah, I think I'll buy the expansions in the future. But with Shiloh gone and the sun coming down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together towards the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. They have a couple more dating options, but also some more childhood moments. Ooh! That'd be cute, actually. Cove is clearly caught up in thinking about something. Do I care about what Cove has to think about? I'm nosy. We're asking. I'm nosy. Something was definitely up, so you chose to reach out to him and ask. Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face.
Oh.
Oh, I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again after a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that? When I said he was all red a lot. You were being rude! So you can do more child, adolescent, and young adult moments. Cove got the cool hair. Ooh! I'm excited to see. No, I wasn't. It looked like that to me. And I wasn't just saying that one thing. You're not very nice to Shiloh. I didn't mean it like that. Shallow's kind of weird to talk to. See? That's kind of rude. I guess I could get it, why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. What Shallow said didn't make sense anyways. Parents always talk to other parents and set up stuff so their kids play together. My dad didn't do anything weird. He struggled not to make a face at that. His dad definitely did something weird to try and get you to spend. Yeah, he gave me 20 bucks. He tried to pay me to be friends with his kid. He did. I took the money. But Cove didn't know that. Do I tell him? Y'all, chat, do I tell him? Or do we lie? I'm gonna go with the middle option. I feel like that's a bad decision. So we're gonna do... hate to be his friend. You know what? We're doing the wrong option. We're being honest. We're saying that he got party pooper, so we're gonna be a party pooper right back. Yeah, we got bribed to be your friend, bruh. Well, remember how you talked about how our parents met and I didn't know what happened? Yeah. Kind of had something that happened that you don't know about when I met your dad. As you struggled to find the right words, Cove looked at you passively. You wanted to turn away, but you kept your eyes on his as he spoke. I was walking home and your dad was sitting in front of the house. It must have been after you ran away. My moms weren't there either. I think they were looking for you. Your dad saw me. He got up and came over. Yeah, like a creepy person sitting in front of my house too. It's why we needed the safety crowbar. Always keep a safety crowbar on yourself in your backpack. You never know when you need it. And having a solid thing of steel, never a bad thing to have. Safety crowbar. Be prepared. Mr. Holden told me that he just moved into the house next to mine. Phil was still listening, his expression as plain as before. You paused for a moment, wondering if you should really keep going. Nah, now we're sticking to our guns on this one. Even if it was supposed to be a secret, you thought Caleb should still know. Yeah, your attitude's so shitty that your dad literally had to pay us. Thank you. Your dad thought that you might be lonely here, so he wanted me to be your friend. He said he'd give me $20 if I did. Cove was so still, you thought he hadn't heard you. Then his eyes widened. His mouth fell open, but no sound left him. Silence stretched between you. We might have done a bad choice, guys. I mean, he was gonna figure out eventually. Like, probably when we were older, it would have been a funny story to tell, but... dang. You shifted from one foot to another and your hands tensed up. Please say something. Instead of speaking, he closed his mouth, his eyebrows bent up, crinkling his forehead. He looked more sad than surprised now. He was going to cry. You were certain of it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm not. Need to know. Yeah, he deserves to know. He deserves to know the truth. Cove raised his hands and brought them under his glasses. His fingers pressed over his eyes, hiding them for your sight. Again, I would like to stress, I am being the little shit option that I never got to be as a child. Then, right in the middle of the street, the tears began to fall. His shoulders shook with the force of his sobs. You could glimpse wetness through the cracks of his fingers, slipping down his cheeks. Cove, it's okay. I'm just gonna stay by him. I don't think he wants to be touched right now. You couldn't go anywhere with Cove in this state. But Cove shook his body from side to side, rejecting your presence.
No!
Go away! You flinched at the shout. As you stood there, listening to him cry, you felt... maybe concerned. Like, yeah, it's the truth, but it's also, like, that sucks to hear. I don't know, I know they're just kids, but I also... a part of me doesn't feel a whole ton of sympathy for Cove. but more out of personal experience, because I've been the friend to people very similar to Cove before, where you do everything that you can to be polite and to be kind and to try and help fix their messes with other people, so that way they're still seen as a good person and they can still have friends and stuff like that. And you try your hardest to try and make the world easier for them, even when they break bridges. You try to rebuild those bridges. You try to do these things for them. And then at the end of the day, you end up getting incredibly hurt sometimes, because you've been spending so long fixing everything for them. So there's a part of me that, while I feel sympathy for Cove's situation, it sucks being a child of divorce. It sucks having to move away from everything that you've ever known and to have to make new friends and everything like that. But there's a certain level of what is giving someone proper sympathy for a certain situation and what is excusing them being a bad person or being rude or mean to other people. And how much time are you going to spend coddling them and rebuilding bridges for them? How much are you going to destroy yourself and stress yourself out in order to make the world better for someone who wouldn't do the same for you? So at this point, I would just be concerned for him, because the concern is still there, but that doesn't mean that this behavior doesn't need to be addressed and that truths don't need to be told. Because at the end of the day, his dad giving money for you being friends, it was not only kind of weird and everything like that, but it was telling of an understanding of his son's attitude that needs to be addressed in the future if Cove will end up eventually forming healthy relationships with his peers. You didn't want Cove to be this upset. You just wanted to be honest. Cove continued to weep with his face covered by his hands. Worse, his voice raised in volume. You were frozen in place. The situation was awful, and you kept feeling worse every second. Thanks. I'm glad that I'm communicating what I'm trying. I hope that I'm communicating what I'm trying to get across delicately and well, because sometimes it can be a very difficult topic to address because it sucks all around and it's not fair to anyone in this situation. It never is. Situations of unhealthy relationships, no matter what form or function, or of unhealthy behaviors. That's not a good thing to say to someone. You know what? I feel like crying too. I'm gonna cry too, because I in real life am bad at crying, so guess what? We're gonna cry. I'm gonna cry too. Because this sucks too. You didn't know what to do to stop Cove from crying. You began to panic. Before you realized it, your eyes were misting over. Then you were crying with him. You couldn't stop. A small side tangent. If you are someone who cries easily, never be ashamed of that. Never see that as a problem. Of course, there are times and everything like that, but your body, you cry as a release of emotions and as a way of taking your body from a more panicked state and from a state of great sorrow, and it is releasing those emotions so that way you can come back to a situation later having released those emotions and cooled down the more heightened sense, so that way you can take a look back at your emotions and process them later. A weak person does not cry. And I will say that I am very weak. With situations like this, and in friendships like what we're kind of seeing with Cove, but in more adult forms, I suppressed that a lot, and now I do not have a healthy way of dealing with my emotions because I do not know how to properly process them. I just shoved them down. So if you have the ability to cry, never feel ashamed for crying. And never try to stop yourself from doing so. Your body does things like that in order to help you to regulate and in order to help you deal with things in a healthy manner. Anyways, side tangent, me blabbing. I'll move on. You heard a door opening and you flinched, expecting to see one of the mean old grandparents preparing themselves to yell at you. At this hour, most people weren't around, either because they were working or down in the town, but the grandparents rarely left the house, except to complain at children making noise in the street. With the ruckus Cove was making, you could kind of understand why they might have objections, even if you couldn't help it. But the door that stood open now didn't belong to the grandparents. To your utter surprise and relief, it was Cove's own. His dad was already home. As he peeked out his door, Mr. Holden momentarily looked unsure. Perhaps he had suspicions of the noise outside, but wasn't entirely positive, though a kid crying is pretty distinct, and there aren't a lot of kids. Maybe he didn't want to believe something might be wrong with his son. His face fell as he spotted the source of the commotion. It was pained and it was scared, and it reminded you of the one he'd worn the first night you'd met Cove. Mr. Holden didn't go down the steps in front of his house. He just jumped right over them and stumbled into a run. He skidded to a stop before Cove, bent down on one knee, and then solidly cupped Cove's teary face in his hands.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? Are you hurt anywhere? Cove continued to try, unable or unwilling to cough out an explanation. Not taking his hands from Cove, Mr. Holden turned towards you for an explanation, his eyes wide and imploring. He was asking if you made me hang out with him. You did, so I told Cove how you wanted to give me money to be his friend. I took the money. Sorry, that is a bad... I shouldn't be laughing. This is terrible. This is a really bad moment and a really sad moment, and I deal with things with humor. As I said, I don't deal with things healthily. I don't deal with my emotions healthily. As you spoke, Mr. Holden's chest rose when he inhaled a deep, shaky breath, culminating in a gasp at your final words.
What?
Why would you... He clamped his mouth shut, shaking his head. He faced his crying son again. No, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done something like that in the first place. You think! I would have been friends with him, even if you hadn't come up to me like an absolute creeper. And handed me money over it. Actually, you know, that's debatable. I still wasn't gonna be friends with him even when you handed me the money. I was trying to scam you. And then we ended up becoming kind of friends. That was a choice you made, my good sir. He cast his eyes down, sighing. When he next spoke, it wasn't a part of a conversation anymore. It was barely loud enough for you to catch his words. Mish is only a kid. Tears were still streaming down Cove's face. Smiling sadly, Mr. Holden wiped Cove's cheek with a thumb. He furrowed his brows and looked at the ground. When he next glanced up, his mouth was set with determination. Mr. Holden finally took his hands off Cove. Dude, you bribed a child! I wouldn't expected that! And why are you pulling your freaking wallet out again? What is wrong with you? You bribed a child! Why are you saying Mish is just a kid? You're the one who bribed a child, my good sir. You didn't trust your son. You literally did not trust your child's personality and, you know, attitude enough to be able to set up a healthy relationship with the peers around him, which I get he's struggling right now because he's upset about his current situation, but still, rather than dealing with the actual, you know, other things and just letting that situation develop normally, you tried to bribe a child. You don't think you're in the wrong here? You don't think maybe you're the problem, my good sir? Oh my god. Mr. Holden finally took his hands off Cove. He reached for his wallet. Confused, you stared at the little rectangle that all adults seem to carry in some shape or form. 1 second. It had been the source of all these problems. You were sure that Cove wouldn't want to be reminded of it right now. Mr. Holden was clearly of a different mind to you. He inexplicably retrieved another $20 bill, rolled it up, and raised it to Cove's face. Cove's eyes were hidden behind tightly cramped fingers, so Mr. Holden poked Cove's nose with the bill. Cove peeked between his hands and grunted as he saw what he had been prodded with. Even if it was surrounded by sobs, you were glad that something else had finally left Cove's mouth.
Come on.
Hey, Cove, can you stop crying? I'll give you— Stop bribing children! What is with this man? This man does not know how to healthily deal with the situation. This man just knows how to throw money around. When you run out, how are you going to deal with the situation? I don't think you know. I'm fairly certain you don't. Cove dropped his hands from his face. It had already been wet with tears, but now his features were scrunched up in a scowl. Not for the first time. You questioned Mr. Holden's tactics. I am too! A non-zero amount of... I think everyone in this game except for Mish's moms and maybe Lizzie need therapy. No, don't you dare stop your child from expressing emo- Exactly. This is not teaching healthy coping mechanisms. He had to use two hands, but Cove firmly shoved his dad's own hand away. Good for you, Cove. And Mr. Holden just chuckled at Cove's reaction and tossed the money aside. It unfurled as it flew through the air, rising before slowly drifting to the ground. Mr. Holden took Cove's outstretched wrist and lowered them to Cove's sides, stopping him from hiding his face once again. Unproblematic moms for the win. Exactly. If only my actual mom were like that. Damn. SMH. Anyways, Cove's dad clearly wasn't going to let him go. Huffing, Cove turned his whole head away. Tears continued. I just slide over and just like, yoink. I mean, that's a lot of money for a little kid. Where'd the money? Cove's dad asked later, where'd the money go? I don't know. Me tucking it into my cheek with a little squirrel. I don't know. Huffing, Cove turned his whole head away, tears continuing to roll down his cheeks as he glowered at the ground. Finders keepers, exactly. You threw it away. Cove's dad. You can buy a lot of cool things with that, but it can't do everything, can it? Can't believe that I said Cove's dad. Cove didn't respond, not even to look at his father. Mr. Holden continued. Your old dad likes to make things nice for you with the money he earns, but you're smart. You know that I haven't really done anything.
I'm sorry.
I still made you sad and upset, just like right now. I'm sorry. Thank you, Cove's dad, for realizing you were shitty. Cove sniffed, the harsh line of his brows mellowing. Mr. Holden squeezed Cove's hands as he continued. Mish is smart too, right? Mr. Holden spoke, which is why I was gonna scam you at first until our parents forced us to become friends, and you know what, I can kind of tolerate this guy now. Probably not a good thing to say right now, but Mr. Holden spoke in a soft, encouraging tone, and Cove continued to calm. You have nothing to worry about. Except for me. Mr. Holden chuckled. Show your child infection instead of throwing money. Exactly! Give your son a hug! Tell him you love him! Cove pressed his lips together, mulling over his father's words. Though the stream of tears had eased, drops still budded in his eyes and threatened to spill out. Teach your son healthy coping mechanisms. Have you considered that that is an option? I love you so good. So much. More than anybody else. Sometimes that makes me a little too hasty to see you happy, and I make it all worse. I really am sorry. You know what? Good on... Share child affection instead of... Exactly. What Cove's dad is doing right now? Healthy. Good. I'm applauding. Scrunching his eyes tight, Cove nodded. When his eyes opened again, they were red and glossy, but there were no tears left on the precipice of his lower lashes. Aside from the occasional sniff, he was mostly back to his usual self. He swallowed.
Okay.
Though Cove had refused to echo Mr. Holden's exact words, the sentiment seemed to be enough for his dad. He moved his hands up under Cove's armpits and hoisted Cove high into the air with a grin. Cove's hands flew to his glasses, holding them back from falling off. Cove's lips were shut tight, all betrayed by the telltale smile in his eyes that he was trying hard to hide. No. Mr. Holden laughed, lowering Cove so that he was securely pinned against his chest. Yes! Hug! I love you! I'm sorry! Hug! Good! Cove looked away, his face angled toward the ground. Now that his dad could no longer see him, he was allowing himself a smile. Mr. Holden might have missed it, but you didn't. Cove wriggled, pushing a hand against his dad's shoulders. Can I go back down now?
Yeah.
Mr. Holden set Cove gently on the ground, waiting until his feet found their footing before releasing him entirely. I have to do something. Wait here. As Cove wandered away, Mr. Holden's gaze stuck to him like glue. He sighed, eyes downcast. He felt weird that you'd only been able to stand there while the event unfolded. You weren't able to fix it. Hey, sometimes there are things that you just can't fix. and it wasn't your thing to fix. That was something that someone else did. You revealed it, you told the truth, and that part of the action is on you, but that was not your thing to fix. And the dad did his due diligence, in my opinion. I couldn't make him feel better. Don't worry about it, please. We don't need another tragedy today. He winked, and you weren't impressed. Yeah! I'm not! Hey, I mean that. The first part, anyway. There's only so much you can do to try fixing someone else's mistake. Exactly. He smiled sincerely at you. You've done plenty for Cove. Just the fact that you were honest with him when his own dad wasn't proves it.
That's a relief.
Thanks for being a good kid. I hope you'll keep spending time with the boy. I don't exactly have a choice. Besides, you know what? He's kind of tolerable. As though the sound of his name summoned him, Cove returned, clutching the bill his dad had cast aside earlier. You cocked your head, and Cove's dad raised his eyebrows. Cove looked at the crumpled note and walked over and held it out to you. I stopped crying, but I don't want this. You can have it. Bragged by Cove now? Cove's dad, you're teaching him unhealthy manners and mechanisms. He gave you a small smile. Behind him, Mr. Holden was still watching Cove closely, clearly relieved. You shared the feeling. Cove was making peace with the deal that happened behind his back. Should we take it? I'm leaving that up to you guys. Do we take it? I'm like 50-50. I mean, one vote for money. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was enthusiastic. We're taking it, yeah. Gingerly, you pinched the slip of paper between your fingers and slowly took it from Cove. We can get ice cream together next time. You know what? That's what we'll do with this $20 bill. At least that's what I'm telling you that we will do with this $20 bill, Cove. We're gonna get ice cream. We're taking the money. Charge for repairing his father child. Exactly. I fix something, and you know you pay a mechanic. Mechanics charge for service fee. This is my service fee for being more emotionally stable than the rest of you. I say, having openly weeped alongside Cove. It was a sign of Cove's trust. He believed you. Thanks. For this and for feeling better now. Cove looked at you softly, his eyes wide in earnest. Yeah. Mr. Holden stood up, stretching his arms out casually. Well then, it's time for dinner. Me and the Rugrat need to be going in. You probably should too. I bet your moms want to see you. Everyone wins! Alright.
Bye.
Hi.
Thanks very much.
Have a good night, and thanks, Mish. Father and son waved at you as you turned and dashed back home, the note clenched tightly in your hand. You felt lighter. That one was cute! Alright. I don't want to skip any of these guys, but I'll do these three, and then we'll save the next summer for another time. But let's do... You know what? I want to end on Fireflies. Let's go back in order. For now. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sound of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. 1 second. Big drink. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy. So your sister was starting to get impatient, waiting for her golf class that morning. Impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. I say that we get out the Barbie dolls and we stage a coup. We do a whole entire soap opera with Barbie dolls. That's my vote. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. Damn, okay.
Why? Duh.
I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside that we don't? Besides use the phone a lot. Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
Do you want to? Yeah, sure. Let's play adults. Actually, no, that's awful. That's awful. Being an adult. That's awful. Let's not do that. That's what I'm going to do. And it's not as fun when I play pretend adults by myself. Well then suffer. Figure out something else. Do you do that a lot? What's it to you? Looking at Lizzie, it seemed Cove felt he could understand where she was coming from, and he sighed. Do you really not want to play, Mish? It was clear he wanted some way out, but still felt guilty about it. I'll try it, but that sounds boring. Yep, we're going with that. It's not gonna be, I guarantee. How? How do you guarantee? I would like to see you put it down in writing. How you guarantee this will not be boring. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, like we have a choice, we're in the same house, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Mish, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis. Don't tell me what I like to do. I don't like any of that. I mean, volleyball's kind of fun. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. Well, would you like to share it? And we have to play sports as adults? Yep. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Mish? Don't those choices sound super cool? Wanna play that, huh? Isn't there anything else we can be? Izzy stamped a foot on the ground. Yeah, this is siblings right here. This is siblings. Nope. Come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though we didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you prefer to play beach volleyball. If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, then you might as well pretend you were there. You could even wear your swimsuit to make it seem more realistic, although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you here. Yes, that was clearly the top option. It was also the top one on the list. Okay, I'm gonna be a volleyball player.
Alright.
How about you, Cove? I was gonna pick volleyball. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how this works. You didn't say that. The rule was picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Fine. You're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team? What? We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. That's boring. I don't want to. Actually, I want to be that muffin guy. I want to be that muffin guy from the Olympics who was obsessed with the chocolate muffins. That's me in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He had made a face and adjusted his glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway, Lizzie marched back and forth in front of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all golds and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. Be for real, honestly. I think the dude ended up getting like freaking last in his event too. But man, was he real for the chocolate muffin bit. Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if we're not all yeah. I know so many people like Lizzie, even as adults. Ay, ay, ay. You know what? Silver's not bad. Silver. First is the worst, second is the best, third is the one with the treasure chest. Silver's not bad. It may not be first place, but you knew that silver medals were still really good to get at the Olympics. But it isn't gold!
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at Olympics. Them's the breaks. Lizzie, I'm putting spiders in your room. I hope you know that. I'm your sibling and I live here and there will be spiders. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. You know what? Mood. Slight mood. No way! It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cope hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him, apparently, because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No? Not like the normal houses here with a street on it. Right on the sand, by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a beach with a bunch of sand and shells. Yeah, that's actually a really bad idea. I mean, unless you have like the stilts, you'd have to be up on the beach, like at the water, in the water, underwater. This is confirmation. Cove is a ghost mermaid. Ghost mermaid, for real, for real. Cove lives in a cove because Cove is a mermaid. If it touches the water, the condensation, Emma, or no, I'm transforming to a mermaid. But I want to, and I will. Good for you, Cove. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything?
Jeez.
You know what? Fair. Jeez, well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead. How about you put this into reality by going into another room? Lizzie. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands falling in a fist at her side. It's not impossible and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. I've said nothing this entire time. When it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought. You're tired of deciding between either of them. I want a small, cozy house with a nice little garden in the back. And like a trellis. And a nice little reading nook. That's all I want. Mansions are way too much to take care of. Living on the beach is awful because sand. Y'all can both miss me with that shit. I'm taking tiny house. You didn't engage with their bickering, and instead dreamt up your own dream house. And you weren't going to share your idea with them either. You already knew it was a good one. Exactly. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You have no idea how to what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you'd said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. I love that. Like a greeting card angel. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Mish, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But, without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed, and your mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Yeah! Maybe be more inclusive next time. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Alright, we better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Noelani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. Movie soundtrack. I've been listening to the Arcane soundtrack on repeat, so we're pretending that I'm an adult and have listened to that. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started to sing, singing along with you. She acted like she was grown up most of the time, but you knew she liked the movie too. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting you hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing an escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wriggled in her seat and frowned at the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes, and she nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. No, you told the truth. I don't regret it! You frowned to yourself, recalling how Cove had left in such a bad way. Mom had told you to be on your best behavior with Cove, but Lizzie hadn't listened. She'd upset him more than usual, even. The four of you stood around the kitchen on a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Wow, remember when home phones were a thing? Shaking my head, that was crazy. We used to have one just like that. Mom reached over and pressed the button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Murr? What a surprise! But of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Noelani, Mish, and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. Hi, Mr. Holden. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We're hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. Does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyways, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove? There's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Liz turned towards Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. Excuse me. I want gold. Lizzie was momentarily stunned silent by the demand. You couldn't understand why that mattered so much to him. Alright, you win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. Wondered if she thought he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He'd come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hands to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone. Taking it off the speaker, they continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. The only thing that I would suggest kind of differently, like, I'm not a parent, but one of the things that really grated on me as a kid is having to apologize for things and not really having it explained to me why I was wrong in a situation. And it's clear that Lizzie doesn't really fully understand why what she did was wrong. There's no full clear explanation for her, so she's going to see it as her being forced to do something and as it being unfair. So the only thing that I would recommend really is having that be explained to her better, in a way. Kind of actually sitting down and addressing, hey, why was this a bad thing? Why was this something that really should be something that you should feel bad for and that you should reflect on? That's the only thing that I would say. Because right now, Lizzie's getting none of that. Lizzie's probably just feeling like this entire situation is unfair. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Whew. I apologize if I'm not reading quite as well. I'm still very stuffed up. Oh, okay. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everything else had somewhat Everyone else had something on, so that the afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel... I mean, it's not bad. It's just kind of having a tag along, you know? Shiloh went along with whatever you wanted, so he wasn't a bother, but he also wasn't that much fun. You drank yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Some ice cream! Ice cream! Is it ice cream time? Ice cream! Nothing beat a classic creamy scoop of ice cream on a day like this. Okay, favorite flavor of ice cream. Mine is mint chocolate chip. You cannot beat it. It's amazing. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Boo! Boo. Outside, there were plenty of spaces where such goodies could be obtained, but they were shops, and demanded payment in exchange for their products. I say we take down capitalism. Let's destroy capitalism. This is baby's first anti-capitalist coup in chocolate chip. I'm gonna voice my predicament aloud. I want ice cream. Ice cream cone. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
That sounds good. We don't have anything like that in the house. And I don't have any money. Did you already spend all your money? Did you already spend that $40? Oh, let me check if are we filching off of a child? Are we filching money off another child? I feel like that's what is happening here. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus one stray button. Yes. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1. You announced this to Shiloh. He almost certainly came up to the same conclusion, but he had been watching you expectantly. It's a start! Shiloh beamed at you. We'll need to find some more. Okay. The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust or sandy crumbs, but every so often you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. Your mind wandered to the $20 bill tucked away in your room. It was enough for you and Shiloh to get whatever you wanted and more, but you didn't take it out. That was too special to hand over. Your bribe money? Your bribe money? Okay, I guess. I feel like this is the perfect time to use bribe money. Besides, Shiloh would be curious about where it came from and might even mention your wealth to Lizzie. The exchange had been a secret. That's fair. Older siblings will steal your money. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pooling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again. It's not going to be enough. $2.53, and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? You figured he knew the answer without looking to you for confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that would follow canceled out any other feelings you might have had about that. Yeah. You could now afford something at the shops. Just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. Yay! The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar buoyed you on your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed to the funds to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause. Aren't you getting an ice cream cone? Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision, rather than someone who, with a stake in the outcome. Poor Shiloh! Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea. You should choose. I don't know. This kid has gotten the short end of the stick in every single, conversation. I feel like something should go his way, just even once. Just even once. Let's see, I'm sure there's something that we could decide on that we would both enjoy. It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making this happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack. What do you like? All of them. They're so good. He pressed further. What do you really like? Popsicles or ice creams? Which is your favorite? It's so hard to pick. I don't know. Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? Yeah. Oh, Shiloh. And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally, and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You lapped at the soft ice cream. The sweetness perked you up. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
Shiloh, this is called people please. Shiloh, I'm gonna look at you directly in your eyes when I say this, kid. This is called people pleasing, and it will lead you to be a very miserable person when you're an adult. I'm telling you this now. Stop while you're ahead. Stop while you have the chance. Even if Shiloh said it was okay, every story you'd ever seen on TV or read in a book said that sharing was caring. You stood your ground, even as treat started to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. It's only fair that you have some. We both bought it. But you want it more than I do, and getting to play was a lot of fun already. So you can have it, that's more fair. You held it out to him. I want you to have some even more than I want to finish it, so eat your part. Relenting, Shiloh took the treat and gave it a taste. His eyes lit up.
Thank you.
It's really good, thank you. Yeah. Take the treat. You smiled, pleased with your good deed. You picked the best one. I'm sure that I didn't, and you are just saying this. What did your parents do? Are you just like this? I can't. No, that's a lie. Never mind. Did he mean that? Shiloh was always so nice. No, everyone in this game needs therapy. Everyone in this game needs therapy. Even if he hated it, you knew he wouldn't say so. Maybe he thought it was gross and that's the real reason why he didn't take some. You had no idea. You studied him as he ate a little more. He had every appearance of enjoying himself. Still weird. The two of you began to head back home as he ate. I say all this, but at the same exact time, like, when I'm with my friends and I'm with people that I genuinely enjoy, like, I'm not lying when I say that I don't mind what we do, and I don't mind what we get, because genuinely, being in the presence of the people who are important to me and spending quality time with them is so much more fulfilling than anything that we could possibly be doing, or that, like, I could be consuming or anything like that. Because to me, the most important thing is that connection and that sense of being a part of something with another person. So I kind of get Shiloh in that regard. But at the same exact time, bruh, that was also your money. You deserve to have nice things too, and you should be able to enjoy yourself. You walk side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt, or was too afraid to. You know what, we're not gonna psychoanalyze his home life when, we not met any of the parents, so. We're just not gonna do that. We're just gonna move on. Are we friends? Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the both question. Yeah, I think so. He says that, but friends should be able to talk to each other without being scared. If Shiloh wouldn't do that, were you even really friends at all? He rubbed his hands together nervously over your non-reaction.
I'm sorry.
Shiloh's so me for real. I think that's why I'm so frustrated with him, is because I see a lot of younger me in him. That's why I'm yelling at this young child. Turn around while you can. You weren't sure how sorry he could be without knowing what he's even apologizing for, but you shook your head. You didn't do anything. It was true. Shiloh hadn't done something mean. He'd gone out of his way to make you happy. That didn't seem like it should be a bad thing, yet it bothered you. I just don't know if you like me. It's like it doesn't matter what I do, you're gonna act the same. I could be anybody and you wouldn't care. No, I like you. I really like you, Mish. I want to be friends. Okay. You smiled hesitantly at him, and his fidgeting ceased. Even though you weren't sure if you believed him, this was only making things worse. You decided that maybe there were all types of friends. If Shiloh wasn't able to do things differently, this would have to be alright. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing, though, at least. The treat was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon when you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them, just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. What? You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you... I feel like that's a bad decision, but that's also something that I would do. We're gonna be childish. We're gonna make a joke. I thought we lived near a beach, not a waterfall. Scowling, you wiped his face out of the back of his hands. He said nothing in response. Why are you crying now? Mish, I got yelled at. He took a deep, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me. Sorry. Lizzie jerked your head at the direction of the nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have. They're like that with everyone. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction. Huh? I was helping. That's cool. Is there anything I can do? No, I'm just gonna stay away. Or, you could... I agree with Lizzie. Let's teach them a lesson. There's a devilish glint in her eyes. What? We should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great because they're so slow. They'll never catch you. That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
We're just saying that because you're a chicken.
I agree with Lizzie on this one. We should ding-dong ditch. Cove glared but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. You're not a chicken, are you? You scrunched up your nose in disgust as you shook your head. As pranks go, it was pretty weak. They would answer the door to find nothing there. So what? It'd be sort of annoying, but they seemed like the kind of people that would be irritated by about anything. If they were going to open the door, there should be something bad there. That would be letting them off too easy. You felt 3 pairs of eyes staring at you, but you were studying your surroundings thoughtfully. There wasn't much around that they might dislike. Inspiration came crawling towards you in the form of a roly-poly bug. Carefully, you lowered your hand and let it clamber onto your palm. That should do it. You had never met an adult who appreciated bugs. Let's ding-dong ditch and bug them.
Yeah!
We'll go hide. Run as soon as you hit the bell. Good luck! Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they'd settled down, you could make out 2 child-sized shapes staring from between the leaves. You know where to look for them, though, so you told yourself that the grouchy old people wouldn't spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flicking to the house and then back to you. Don't get caught. I'll be quick as a flash. He went to join Lizzie and Shiloh in their hideaway. The weight of 3 pairs of eyes on your back was heavier than anything you'd carried before as you approached the door. You stared down at the little bug still wriggling in your closed hand, and carefully placed it on the ground where it could be seen, but off enough to the side so it wouldn't be stepped on. You slapped the buzzer and ran. Blood thumped through against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Approaching the hiding spot, you knew there wasn't time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping over them. Or to be more accurate, crashing into the tops of the bushes and then falling over to the other side. Me. For real, for real. Judging from the squeak, it was Shiloh who cushioned your fall. Shh! Lizzie put a finger to her lips and nodded at the house. You disentangled your limbs from Shiloh's and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth suspiciously. You covered your mouth with your hands, but it wasn't quite enough to stifle your giggles. Maybe he spotted one of you, or maybe it was the leaves you had displaced while jumping, but he locked eyes with a bush and stormed over in your direction. Shiloh gasped and looked to Lizzie. Run. Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice. Neither did you and Shiloh. Cove, with just one fully operational arm, took a little longer to get to his feet, but still caught up with Shiloh with ease. As you made your escape, you thought to yourself that he didn't even notice the bug. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache of your legs. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The four of you took a moment to catch your breath and to enjoy the feeling of cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Cove lifted his head. I told you there were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine, you thought. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. Sometimes people just prefer other people's company. It's just how people meld together sometimes. It doesn't make your relationship any less valuable, it just means that they click a little bit more. You closed your eyes, laid on your side, and relaxed. Some time passed with you like that. It felt good to take a real break. You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cool, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. They're actually super heavy. Those things are freaking massive. Clouds are like deceptively, like, big. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. I saw an alpaca. You saw a fluffy alpaca in the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Can you see the alpaca? Cove joined you in gazing skywards.
Whoa.
It's more like a... Same difference! Hey. He chuckled at your reaction. All the sun's light faded from the sky, and the moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide. Let's go to the beach! Let's go to the beach! Let's go get away. Say, hey, what they gotta say? We are children, so we're not having drinks. There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. Ghost mermaid. He's not beating those ghost mermaid accusations, that's all I gotta say. You... I wanted to go there too this time, so you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sandcastles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge. The waves tickled your feet. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean, with shampoo and everything. That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Geez, you don't have to be so serious about everything. You're the one who asked what would happen. This is what would happen. It'd hurt the fishes. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. We're the same, Shiloh. For real, for real. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You'd never heard Lizzie use that word before. Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Ooh. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask someone like that? Ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed up by waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms. It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Mish. I don't have a dad. But I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. No! I am not doing that! Even if they're all different, their parents are good in their own ways. I'm gonna be somewhat good of a child.
Yeah.
Cove couldn't muster a response. You don't think he truly disagreed, though. The silence broke with a splash as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. I love the writing of this game. It's, I love it. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. I'm gonna retaliate. You used your foot to smack the water pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. I don't go down without a fight! You laughed as she sputtered, some of the salty seawater having landed in her mouth. She spat it out. Yuck! Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. This is sibling energy right here. It's just constant revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first onto the ground. Oh! That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain, as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered to his head, and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over. Way to go, Shiloh, you dumbo. I'm gonna help him up. Might as well. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. You little shit! I say, grinning. You were waiting for her to help you out. He reached over and took it. Slowly, he started to pull himself up from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them.
Sorry.
What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low, but there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Good on you, Lizzie. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside, chatting with Cove's dad. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state of you were all in, ranging from messy to soaked.
No.
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to be for the long drive home? Cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, bucko. I'm glad you've had a good time with your friends. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and had just as much fun. That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove, let's get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought.
Okay.
Attaboy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Yeah, he's obsessed with the beach. Let's go get away. Cove protested at being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
I like Mr. Holden. Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Mer family, and Shiloh too.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom. Okay, Lizzie's mom. Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall. Until you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. It was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Mrs. Fields had come to collect him a long time ago. Or a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without a hat on, for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Let's take a break and get a little bit to drink. Man, these stories are so cute. Alright, let's do this last one and then we'll call it a day.
Alright!
Tonight we're going to catch fireflies! At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Macaroni and cheese sounds incredible right now. And I'm hungry. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were going to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? I'm gonna start to eat faster. A grin curved your lips as you started to eat a bit faster, excited for what was to come. It seemed like you were too excited, however, as you started to choke and cough on your food from shoveling it down so quickly. Me! For real. I do that so often. Mommy reached over to pat you on the back, firmly helping to dislodge the noodles and enable you to breathe again. You took a big gulp of water from your glass, giving your moms a sheepish look. Oops. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Miss Murr? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be there. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally she would have picked him up by now. She called... Oh. Am I getting drowned again? No! No! Why? Oh my god! Head and hands. Head and hands. Jesus Christ. I will finish off the rest of my water bottle. Oh god, okay, I'm finishing my water bottle. I think I got about half of it left. You guys are evil. You guys are evil. Oh my gosh, go! I'm out of water. There's nothing else I can do. I get drowned. Merciless. You guys are merciless. You guys have no pity upon a poor soul. I freaking love you guys. You guys are so funny. Oh my gosh. You're gonna get me next, aren't you, Cheese? I'm not refilling my water bottle tonight. We've only got one more chapter left. You'll have to wait for another time to drown me. Oh gosh. At least the water wasn't cold this time. I didn't give myself brain freeze. Alright, and I saw the one stretch in there, so let's get a big stretch. Everyone else should take a big stretch as well, because we've been sitting here for, close to 3 hours now. I'm reading about lobotomies, as you should. I do have to ask, why are you reading about lobotomies? I'm genuinely curious. I make a lot of jokes about them. Well, there's some really interesting info about it. Like the guy who got like a freaking thing of like rebar steel that got shot straight through his head and it gave him a frontal lobotomy. And then he couldn't feel fear after that. For my book, I'm publishing. Yo! I'm sorry? I want to hear more about that later. I want to hear more about that. That is exciting. That is really freaking cool. Is it like nonfiction, fiction? What genre? Alright. I'm super curious. I'm gonna have to hear more about this later. Because that is awesome. Alright. But for now, let's finish this up because I do need to get going. But normally she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. I think she's gonna be. Oh! Oh, that is so freaking cool. I'm so intrigued now. Do you have like a publishing company that you're gonna be working with, or is it gonna be self-published? Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree.
Well,
It's already so dark out there. My family's. Oh, nice! That is so freaking cool. That is genuine. Ah, that's awesome.
there.
Oh, but let's back up. Back up. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. But Code, honestly, if you wanna talk more about it somewhere in like one of the channels, or that would be so cool. And I think that other people would be really, really interested to hear about it, because there are a lot of people who like psychological thrillers like that. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Me when, but yeah, you should. You should. I'm encouraging you to. I think more people would be really interested to hear about it. Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you'd finished chewing to say anything, because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full.
Fine.
Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay?
Duh.
Duh, Mom, that's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy reads sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. That is a challenge. No choking up my table now. That's right. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew when they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth.
Jeez.
No one's gonna die. Sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. It's gonna be Cove. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open. It's gonna be the ghost mermaid. Huh? You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Cove? You had no idea why he was here all of a sudden, but you suppose it wasn't worth worrying over. Instead, your eyes landed on Lizzie, who was looking at Cove like he had come here specifically to ruin all her plans. Damn! They do not like each other. Then for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye! Lizzie, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood up from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Hi.
Hi, Cove! Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Beep. Goodbye. Cove, you're gonna catch fireflies with us? We're inviting. Cove needs more enrichment. Cove needs more enrichment activities in his enclosure. You can see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. Hey, I need a friend too, Lizzie. If Cove said no, you'd understand though. Catching fireflies wasn't something that everyone liked to do.
Okay.
I want to see them. I've never caught one before. Ah. Where I'm from, we always called them lightning bugs. So it's kind of funny to see them called fireflies. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been any where he used to live. We can't go out until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What'd you have? Eggs. The clipped, one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Mish. We don't have a... How about you shut up, Lizzie? Impatient. When you started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. You know what? Screw you, Lizzie. I'm walking. You can't make me go faster. You suppose there wasn't any real hurry, and you knew it would be bad to leave him behind entirely. The two of you followed after the footsteps Lizzie and Shiloh left behind until you reached the hill behind your house. Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Upon seeing the gently glowing, winking lights, he moved a bit faster, eyes widening in delight. Wow. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys, it's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. I'm gonna go. Everyone here knows I'm a giggly bitch. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you with confusion. What? You gestured to his head, and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Cove jumped, then followed after the glow.
Oh.
Oh look, Lizzie has one! That's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point on the hill, making sure to not lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. You're bold to assume that I would actually use a bandage for any cuts that I may have on my hand. Spit in it, rub some dirt on it, you're good to go. That's how you deal with wounds, everybody. Don't follow my advice. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging... Bandages are annoying. I only wear them when I, don't want to get blood on something. But after it stops bleeding, it's absolutely not. I refuse to wear them. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, also almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Man, I miss catching fireflies. I think... sometimes you forget about the little things. I don't think we have fireflies around here. Cove kept up with his own target. When he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. I'm gonna make a joke. If you use that thing like a bat and hit it, what a little shit! Cove wrinkled his nose, turning away and walking to a different spot on the hill. He must not have liked your joke very much. Gonna click more. With renewed vigor, you ran out onto the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. You just catch a squirrel. It's like, what? How did you even get that? We were catching fireflies. I don't know. I have a squirrel now. I saw it. I grabbed it. Now I got a squirrel. At first, you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out, and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt.
Come on!
Mish, Cove, get up here, we're gonna have a race! The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on the top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming up as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might just be intrigued by the idea of a race. Hi!
Cove.
Hey, Cove, you can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of a race. He frowned down at his cast. This was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important, got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. I'm competitive. I'm gonna be part of this race. Satisfied with this, Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. Countdown! You quickly got into position as well, resting on your side in the grass and tucking your arms close to your chest. 3, 2, 1, go! The three of you took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom. I know my body is chasing wood. That's what I think. No, I gotta go with cheese on this one. I think you would know your lobotomies. I'm agreeing with cheese on this. Get bullied. Oh gosh. You squeezed your eyes shut, a delighted laugh leaving you, and consequently allowing a few blades of oh, gross! Blades of grass in your mouth. You sputtered, reaching up to wipe them away, threw off your balance, and sent you careening sideways. Everyone started too close together because the slight burn made you, then Shiloh, then Lizzie, collide into a heap. You tumbled down the last few feet in a pile. Shiloh's elbow was in your stomach, and you were pretty sure Lizzie's hair was in your mouth, but you had survived. Perhaps it wouldn't have been safe for Cove after all. You could hear him laughing in the distance. When you opened your eyes, you saw the starry sky above, and Cove still stood on top of the hill, staring down at the three of you with an amused look on his face. Hey, cool crash! I think Shiloh was the first one at the bottom. That didn't count. We need a redo. Kids, it's time to come in. No. You sighed, not knowing if it was from contentment or exasperation, and closed your eyes again. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, and with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyways. All that matters was that you all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. Alright. I think that was a wonderful end to this. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the first chapter of this game. Oh my gosh. I went into this knowing very little about this entire game, and I just have to say the art style, the storytelling, the voice that they speak with, the way that they write out all of the different parts of it. It's just outstanding. You can really tell that this game was made with so much love, and it's a wonder to be able to really get to play this and check it out. So thank you guys for joining me for it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And just because we've got more people here right now, speaking of an amazing voice and amazing writing style, y'all should check out my friend Ziggy's novella that just came out and was just published, called Twice That Comet. It has, you know how we were talking about ghost mermaids? This has space mermaids. It's freaking cool. Like, genuinely, it's such an amazing story. It's Ziggy's writing style just blows me away every single time that I go back and reread it. And Ziggy's also just such an amazing person, and it would mean the world to me if you would go and support him and check out her new book. You can buy it for yourself, or you can request it at your local library, because I think that more people need to read this book, because it's such an outstanding story about connection, and the fact that, just like here, even though you may seem with Cove, where it may seem like a situation where you're on your own, and that there aren't people around you, and if you take the time to look closer at your surroundings, even when the world is trying to say that you can't really make these connections, so that you're alone, if you really know where to look, you'll find that you're never alone, and there are always people around you, should you be willing to reach out and make those connections too. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll probably try... Ugh, sappiness. I know, I'm a sap. I'm such a jokester, but it's all hiding the sappiness that I hold deep in my heart. I'm a sappy person. Hopefully, I'm gonna try sometime later this week, or maybe next week, to go ahead and do the second chapter of this. So I hope that you guys will join me for that as well. I'm genuinely so excited to continue this, and eventually I think I want to try and get the DLCs as well. I will leave you guys for this evening. Please take care of yourselves. Oh, wait, 1 second. Let me see if anyone's live, if I can chuck you guys somewhere. I'm not quite... I can do that. I forget that I can do that sometimes. Let me see. Who's live? Who's live? Who's live that I can chuck you to? What? Are none of my friends live? No one live? Darn. I guess I'm not checking you anywhere. I will leave you guys to skitter around and find your own things to find, because unfortunately none of my friends are live. But anyways, now that I've said this for the 4th time, thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye!